Welcome to the Soapboxx.
Hey, what's going on, Soapboxx Nation? I'm your host, TJ Legacy, and this is your recap of the series, the Marvel series, What If? And what if all of these alternate storylines are actually better than the original? We will discuss with Bad Ty and Holly right now.
I am your guide through these vast new realities. Follow me and ponder the question, what if?
Hey, what's going on, Soapboxx Nation? I'm your host, TJ Legacy, and I am joined with, of course, my co-host on the Soapboxx Nation as we take a second look at the Marvel What If series. So we have Miss Holly Noon from So Please Understand. What's up, Holly?
Hey, guys. What's up?
What's going on? And, of course, from the MulTYversed Podcast, we have Bad Ty Bricks. What's good, man?
Peace. What's going on, TJ?
Doing well. Excited to break this down. Hey, so let's get right into it. Recapping the first 3 episodes of the Marvel Cinematic Universe adaptation of What If with The Watcher. So, Bad Ty, before we get started, let's kind of recap the story of who the Watcher is, because this isn't actually the first time we've seen him in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So give us a little brief overview of the Watcher, if you could, please.
Well, the Watcher's real name is Uatu, the Watcher. The Watchers are cosmic beings who possess the innate ability to achieve virtually any effect desired. They're one of, if not the most powerful beings in the universe. They have the potential to change alternate realities. They have the ability to take away and give powers. There's a lot to break down with the Watchers, but they appeared. The first, I think, appearance of the Watchers was in Fantastic Four issue 13, issue 13 back in April of 1966 or 7, I believe. And so we are here again with the Watchers. So that's who the Watchers are.
Yes. So the first adaptation, we saw Steve Rogers, who was supposed to take the serum, which he turns into Captain America, but we have Captain Carter. And so I'm gonna start off with Holly, because I know we talked off camera about this. So Holly, what was your initial thoughts of the Captain Carter adaptation in the movie, the series What If?
So I kind of felt as though if this would have come out when Captain America originally came out, I don't know if we would have been ready at that time for a female lead, like of a superhero movie. So I don't think her version was bad. I think she did an amazing job being Captain Carter, if that was the reality. But I always have things when it comes to like female superheroes, only in that it's like, why in Marvel is it that always the women have to wear like these full-on bodysuits for the most part, like in a lot of the Marvel movies? And then if you look at like DC, if we compare, it's like the women can be more feminine and sexy. And it's like you can be sexy and strong in the DC and have power, but like in Marvel, it's not to say they're not sexy and strong, but it does definitely focus.
She was strong. She was strong. she looked brolic.
She looked like 6-something. Yeah. She said brolic. I wasn't trying to go there because there's all types of body types, and she was very athletic. And,
I love it.
Yeah, she's very athletic. But no, I just kind of it was hard for me to imagine. I kind of didn't like the patronizing by the men, like in the show, where they were calling her Fraulein and, you know, because you're a woman, and like, just, I didn't really care for that. I understood why they were saying it, because if you look at that point in history, that's how they viewed women. But I just think, like, that's why it's a what if, because in my mind, I'm like, this would have came out when Captain America actually came out. I don't know if it would have had the same effect if it was like Captain Carter versus Steve Rogers, Captain America. So that's my initial thought.
Well, let's talk about that. The comparison between the actual what's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Steve Rogers turning into Captain America and Captain Carter. Because in this adaptation for What If, he never gets to take the super soldier serum, but he also is the first has the Iron Man suit. So I kind of like that. The fact that he was still, even though he was still Scrawny Steve. I'm gonna call him affectionately. I'll call him Scrawny Steve. Even though we're not body shaming on this what if. But smaller Steve, Scrawny Steve, was still the iron. What's the correct name for that? The suit that he was wearing. Was it Ironmonger?
It was an Iron Man suit, but
the first ever Iron Man suit that we saw in Iron Man, the first Iron Man with Robert Downey Jr. He actually wore that. So Howard Stark made that suit for Steve, and he was still able to be a superhero. So I thought that was I like that because it showed that he was still always going to be a superhero in some sort of fashion. He was still going to contribute, even though he was small in stature from the rest of it. So do you feel like, and I'm gonna ask you, Ty, do you feel like the Captain Carter should, like, do you think that what if version of those events should have actually been replaced rather than having Captain America? Do you think it should, so we could have both Steve in the suit, in the Iron Man suit, and Captain Carter?
Based on the animation that we just saw on What If, I think it's plausible. I definitely was entertained by the scenes of Captain Carter as Captain Carter once she got the super serum. One of the things that I'm gonna touch on really quick, the Steve Rogers hero character of this Iron Man is always going, that was one of the things that was spotlighted in Captain America. The thing that made them choose Steve Rogers was his heart, was that he always was a hero. No matter what size he was always going to be a hero. So it did definitely play into that idea that he just was a good guy. Now, as far as not Coach Carter, Captain Carter, Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson. That's another term. I'm locking the MCU. I'm locking the gym.
Captain Carter. This is where I disagree with Holly as far as how they portrayed her.
This is the first. We are in the multiverse here. Go ahead.
This doesn't happen often, but when it
does, if that's how you disagree with Holly?
No, exactly.
Don't adjust your streaming service, people.
But with Coach, I keep saying Coach. With Captain Carter, the way that they depicted her was significant because they were trying to basically show you that the super serum worked on her. The same thing applied to Steve when he got it. Remember when he came out of the tank, he wasn't the same little scrawny little dude. He was ripped up, had some pecs and all of that kind of stuff. So this was a way of them showing that without her not having clothes on and all of that kind of stuff and everything. It just basically shows you that she got stronger. It's just in that time, like you said, you wonder if it would have registered with society, because a lot of Me Too movements and women, feeling like, it possibly would have been torn down, and they would have said, "Oh, I don't understand why she has to look so physical." But it's the same premise behind what they did with Steve, with her. It's just when you see it, it looks more, it's magnified because she's a woman, and you don't typically see women with 26-inch pythons and stuff like that. So so again, I get what you're saying, but I do disagree. I loved it. It was entertaining. I've never seen Steve Rogers take a shield and shoulder charge a truck.
That was dope. That was a new feature.
Oh my God, bro. There was so many parts of this What If episode that made me say, can we please have a Captain Carter show? I would watch it. I would watch it, sir. I would be there.
I think another reason that it would not go over well is the fact that it's a different country. The fact that she's representing the UK and has a UK suit, and it's not like Captain America has been like the thing in even back then, like it was like
Captain
a patriotism. So for now, for us, looking at someone from the UK or Great Britain, I guess how you would say it would be kind of weird in a sense for people here in the States to be like, yay, let's give it up for, like they did the same thing, let's give it up for Captain Carter. But notice that they didn't call her by the country that she was representing. It was Captain Carter. So that was also really telling. But we're not done. There was also the second episode of the What If series, which I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty. I got pretty not choked up, because I don't get choked up like that. But it was actually pretty sad to see Chadwick Boseman, who played T'Challa, the voice of T'Challa, in the What If series, if T'Challa was actually Star-Lord, right? And so this was one of the last installments of Chadwick Boseman playing T'Challa for Marvel before his untimely death, before he passed away. So this was almost like another tribute, and kudos to Marvel and Disney they have been praising and making tributes to Chadwick Boseman. Like I've watched Black Panther for the first time in a while the other night, and I forgot, like in the beginning, how they changed it to just all of Chadwick Boseman. And then before I watched it, I was like, you get that little tight chest. You just, yeah, this is gonna be, because you realize that this guy actually was playing this character and was so committed, and he knew what it represented. We talked about symbolism. He knew what it represented, and so the fact that he wanted to make sure that he could at least lend his voice to T'Challa one last time for this series was dope. But Holly, how did this episode land for you when you first initially saw it, and the storyline of T'Challa becoming Star-Lord?
I actually I did like it. It was a very interesting episode, especially to see characters that, previously, like in Infinity Wars and Endgame, weren't getting along, and now they're like teammates. So like Thanos. So I was like, okay, that was pretty interesting. Big Thanos. He was like Zen, and he's not trying to snap off half the universe, So I thought that was pretty cool. No, I don't know. I think it just seemed like with T'Challa or being Star-Lord, I don't know. I kind of felt like he seemed to bring everybody together. And I don't know, that just seems to be the theme with him as like a character in general in all his movies, is just always trying to bring people together. So I like that they kept that. But I do like how the Collector got to play kind of more of a bad guy role in this episode, because I always felt like
he was serum too, because it was bigger in the movie. I was like, what? The serum is like they got it in popsicles or something. Like the serum is all over the universe.
Yeah, no, I liked how, because I always thought he was a very quirky character, and I always thought maybe he could have done more. And so to see him actually be the villain, so those are my thoughts on this episode. I think this is probably my most favorite out of the three so far. So
I actually like this episode a lot, because they did have the nature versus nurture, and the fact that you're right, Holly, that T'Challa did bring everybody together, and he had such a great reputation over the universe, which is actually kind of what Chadwick Boseman has. He has a great reputation. It's hard to find anybody say anything negative about the guy, as opposed to Quill, like they didn't even know who he was. He was like, "Oh, I'm Star-Lord." They were like, "Who?" But in this episode, he said, "Oh, I'm Star-Lord," and they were like, "Oh my God!" Like he was a celebrity, So I like that. It was weird seeing Nebula with the Yaki extra long wig with the 9-inch. Nebula had a lace front, so that was weird to see that, and how she was, really they used her as like a sex symbol as well, in how she was like a little Jessica Rabbit-esque is what Nebula was, rather than being like a machine, I guess, because in this universe, Thanos didn't get to torture her, because Thanos was actually a good guy. So he wasn't torturing her and changing her into a machine. So now this is who she really would look like, similar to Nebula. She looked more like Nebula, but I don't know who made that decision. It was like, look, we're just going to put a blonde wig. We're going to put a blonde wig Not Nebula, Gamora, but that was Gamora, but on Nebula. So that was weird. And yeah, I couldn't get over the whole Thanos thing, man. It was just, Ty, did you get that? Did you have the same type of feeling where you just couldn't get into the new storyline because of what you've seen in previous episodes?
Nah, it wasn't as hard for me because, although Thanos was the villain of Infinity War and Endgame, his motives behind why he was doing stuff was I think he had the right idea. He just didn't know how to achieve with his goal. I think that was kind of what the problem was with Thanos. But Thanos was never really a typical just evil. You could just say he's evil. You know what I mean? Like and that's it. So for me, this kind of like tapped into that part of Thanos that like he loved his, he still was down for his people, still, loyal to the end, ready to give his life to save everybody else. So I for me, it wasn't that hard to fathom. Now, what for me, the toughest thing was watching this and knowing that this was the last time that I was going to be able to hear Chadwick Boseman's voice. I did get choked up. I'm gonna be honest with you. There was 2 deaths around this time that hit me hard, and it was Kobe and Chadwick. And Chadwick, it hit me so hard because I knew what he did. Like, he gave us our first notable Black superhero. Now I know people are like, "Oh, but Blade." No,
Blade didn't even pay his taxes, so he don't count.
From what you were saying, nobody can ever say anything bad. Well, nobody has said anything bad about this gentleman. And it's good to see, even after he's gone, like Holly alluded to, he still has the innate ability to bring people together. And this episode for me was brilliant. It was a testament to his behavior on Earth and how people view him after he left Earth. So, I'm so happy that Disney and Marvel decided to do this episode, and rest in peace, rest in power.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was it was good. And I will say this, after I saw this episode, I was like, yeah, I gotta agree with Ty. They can't recast him. They can't. Like, after, I saw Black Panther, and then I saw the tribute, and then I saw What If, and I was like, there's no possible, thinking in a outside of the media stuff and content creation, thinking in a political or a PR type of way, there's no way any other actor. Episode 3 had a lot going on. It was a lot. So we had, what if the Avengers, we lost all of the world's mightiest heroes, and spoiler alert, everybody's dying. People blowing up, green stuff.
Gotta go.
Everybody gotta go. I'll get to you, Holly. What is your initial reaction? Any takeaways from the first, for episode 3, as to, your first initial reaction, or any takeaways, things that popped up into your mind that you thought were notable?
That they're not invincible. And I think that was the first thing that stuck out to me, because I think if you go through the MCU, all the movies, you're like, they get hurt, but they don't really die. Well, except Tony, but
and Widow.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? But it's like, it just kind of made you. But imagine, initially, someone found their weaknesses and just was taking them out left and right, and in our minds, you're set up wait, they're the Avengers. They can't die, and and then also, Nick Fury, where it's he called Captain Marvel and he hadn't de-iced Captain America, and you're like, well, look, he already had a backup plan, so it looked like he had an alternate roster or something.
Always.
So I thought that was I thought that was interesting. So then I'm curious, who would have been the initial Avengers if this would have taken place? And there's so many characters in the MCU that I'm curious who would have been chosen to take that. So those are my 2 initial. And then also, I think it was also interesting that Hank Pym,
Yes.
he looked so crazy. Okay.
The Yellow Jacket.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was interesting not to actually see him as Ant-Man because, you know, he was always just pushed as Ant-Man. So to see him in the other identity.
Yeah. Well, he's actually Yellow Jacket in the comic books. Like I found that out. Like he used to wear the Yellow Jacket suit, but the fact that he was the villain, and this is actually, if you remember, in the first Ant-Man, this is what they actually wanted that serum or the soldiers to do, was actually to go out and be able to be undetected and cause chaos and havoc and kill people and foreign leaders without being noticed. So that was kind of telling to me, and also the fact that Loki in this series was actually the king of Asgard, because Odin was in Odin's sleep, and then Thor was gone. So Loki actually got what he wanted in the series. And Black Widow, the fact that Black Widow was over there, she actually killed Tony. So and I like how they mixed the episodes the movies that we know and the scenes, but they actually changed little slightly things. But it was hard for me to grasp how these little events did all these domino effects. So I was just like, wait a minute, y'all are just writing a brand new script. It's not like it was the same script, but different, but these events, like a butterfly effect, like a domino effect. What do you think, Ty?
I think I'd have to agree with you. You know,
what is going on in this?
Nah. I mean, you made a good point, because it is that they did take little pieces from old movies and then, you know, tweak it just a little bit, just enough to, you know, make this make sense. From watching the whole episode, what I took away is that Ant-Man is the most powerful Avenger. That's what I took away.
No way.
I took away. Listen. We talked about this yesterday on the New Blurred Order, and one of the things that you know, for me, is they were saying how he's not that tough because Loki smacked them all up. Well, Loki was aware of him. And that's why Loki was able to smack him up. Had he not been aware of him, Loki might have ended up like Thor, like Tony, like, you know, everybody. So that seeing somebody the smallest, and this goes back to a statement that, you know, we grew up with, where size doesn't always determine, you know, like, you know, your bite or your bark or how your tough. You know what I'm saying? And this is a great example of the most power coming in the smallest form. And he was able to kill the Hulk. This dude went inside the Hulk's body, the Hulk's body, and blew him up from the inside out. And they showed it. Like, this is epic. And listen, on screen, I would love to see it. I would love to see you know, in this new Ant-Man movie that they come up, where we see Scott, you know, possibly have a momentary lapse of you know, of good judgment and become a little bad guy and do something like that, because that was epic for me to see him just go through all of the Avengers like he was able to. You don't hire someone like Jeffrey Wright, who is an amazing actor, to play the voice of the Watcher if you don't plan on bringing him to the MCU. He is here. We will see him going forward periodically, I think, throughout those movies that relate to the cosmos. I don't know necessarily that we'll see him in anything that is Earth-based, but once we get into Secret Wars territory and, you know, stuff like that, and, you know, exploring the cosmos, getting back out there with Kang the Conqueror and all of that, once that story starts to really unfold, you absolutely will see the Watcher more often, and I'm assuming in a very prevalent role, because at some point they will have to get involved.
Holly, I know we talked, but in these episodes, episode 3 had a lot going on. What is your, you know, as we wrap, what is your, you know, your take on the What If series as a whole thus far, from episode 1 to episode 3?
I think it's definitely interesting. I'm still a fan of just like the most recent, like WandaVision, Loki, like kind of. So I love reliving and rehashing the stories, like with those characters and this nostalgia from like the past decade plus of seeing them and being familiar with them. So this is just a bit different. And I think also because then you add that element of, okay, what if, things had been different? So it's not bad. I think to me, it's just like, oh, this is an interesting, like another way to think about things. And I'm
Do you
kind
think animation adds to it?
Personally, I don't think so. I don't know. I like seeing like the actors and I don't know. I like the movies and the TV shows. So not to kind of, I kind of feel like, I grew up and I'm not really into the cartoon thing. So it's just,
she's like, I'm an adult.
It's like, honestly, when I watch like even old X-Men episodes that are on Disney Plus now, and it's kind of like, oh man, I used to love this as a kid, but now rehashing it as an adult, it's just a little different. And I think
corny.
that's kind of, he said corny. I didn't say
no corny. Just a little corny, just a little bit.
I think that's the vibe. But I will say, because, they got that Marvel budget and they know kind of what's on the line, I feel like they definitely take the time with these stories and kind of what they introduce and how they represent the characters. Like, for example, Chadwick, like I think they did him justice. And so, I feel like that's what I get from these cartoons is kind of like this series is, I think Marvel's very mindful of kind of how they do things, versus when I watch like old, like Marvel cartoons, I'm like, ooh.
Last word on the time.
Well, I don't agree with you that it's a filler series simply for the fact that they had to know that they were going to do this for a while, because there was no way that they could have recorded Chadwick, unless they knew that this was something that they wanted to venture in. I do think that based on all of the overall MCU and everything that we've seen as products, I don't think they do anything half-ass. I think that they put a lot of thought. They do a lot of research into the comic books, because they have done a very good job of staying consistent with comic book lore and including that into the cinematic universe. So I don't think it's a filler series. I think it's a feeler series. And what happens is we'll put out these concepts, and if we get the outcry from the public that says, oh my God, I loved that concept, I love that idea. Well, guess what? We just opened up the multiverse to all of these different possibilities. So if you liked it that much, you might just see it on the big screen. So I think it's more of a feeler than a filler.
Yo, I actually like that. Listen, we will, for those who are Soapboxx Nation, we will be breaking down the What If series throughout the rest of the series that we have. What If episodes? How many episodes we have left? Do you guys know?
I believe that it was originally 12, but don't quote me on that. But I can check real quick.
Well, we in Soapboxx Nation, we will be watching the rest of the What If series, and please, in the comment section, please let us know what you think about the What If, or whether we're wrong, or whether you agree, and what other alternate storylines could you actually come up with. So, for Miss Holly Noon and for Bad Tie Bricks, we are Soapboxx Nation doing our Take 2 second look at the Marvel What If series, and we will see you soon.
Tell them what we talking about.